Good evening, it's Ashla Glass coming to you with another informative video. My topic this evening is mass incarceration here in the United States. So from 1990 until 2005, there was a new prison built every 10 days here in the United States. U.S. locks up more people than any other nation. Matter of fact, 2017, there were 2.3 million people locked up here in America. The prison population more than quadrupled between 1980 and 2007. No other nation in the history of the world has ever locked up more of its own citizens than the United States. Consider this. If you look up a statistic on the crime rate here in America, you'll find that it's actually on the decline. So being that the crime rate is not very high in consideration to the people that we have living here, why is it that we have so many prisons that have been built over the last 20 years here in America? Well, it's because it's big business. American prisons are contracted out as for-profit businesses to for-profit companies. These companies are paid by the state, and their profits depend on housing as many inmates for as cheaply as possible. A report revealed that private prison companies are striking deals with states that contains clauses that will guarantee high prison occupancy rate. In Arizona, they have contracted with some private prison companies that require 100% inmate occupancy, meaning that they have to keep all beds used. Where are they going to get the people to fill up all of the beds? Wherever. Doesn't matter. They have obligated these states to keep the prisons filled to capacity, or otherwise the state has to pay the private company for unused beds. And I think that number is about $222 a head per day, or a bed per day. And so these private companies are demanding that the state keep these prisons filled because it's generating revenue. It's bringing profit. They do nothing to promote rehabilitation of people. They do nothing to build the communities where these impoverished people come from. They say statistics say that 80% of people that are in prison are high school dropouts. The two largest private prison companies combined brought in $3 billion in revenue in 2010. $3 billion in revenue for housing and keeping people in prison, taking away your freedom for the smallest crime. These companies spend tens of millions of dollars. They're lining the pocket of the politician, these private prison companies. They're lobbying politicians. They're lobbying and making contributions to keep these people on their team. Therefore, they send the word, get people incarcerated, get them locked up. So putting Americans behind bars is big business here in America. Now let's look at the statistics for black men. We know that incarceration is big business. Now let's look at how it affects the black man specifically. The black people represent 13.3% of the U.S. population. 13.3% of the U.S. population is represented by black people. White people make up 77%, but there are more black men in state prisons across the nation than white men. Overall, blacks are 5 times more likely to be incarcerated than whites, and blacks represent more than half of the prison population in 11 states. Blacks make up more than half of the prison population in 11 states here in America. So, for instance, in 2003, black men were reportedly 12 times likely to receive prison sentences for drug offenses, even though surveys have shown white and black people alike in the U.S. use and sell drugs at almost the same rate. So, racial profiling and prejudice and that plays a big part. I mean, we know that mass incarceration is big business. But also, we need to understand that being that the black man has always been a target, it's now more so than ever. Blacks are twice as likely to be searched during a routine stop, and 5% of blacks pulled over aren't even told why they're being stopped. So we definitely know racism is playing a huge part in this game. Now, we know that this mass incarceration is real. We know that it's a big business. And now we need to understand that this is nothing but another form of slavery. This is another form of slavery for our people. Many prisoners are forced to work real jobs. And I'm talking about working in call centers, building furniture, making body armor for the military, taking hotel reservations, working in slaughterhouses, making shoes, clothes, and on and on. And they're only getting paid somewhere between 93 cents and $4.73 per day. Not an hour, per day. 93 cents to $4.73 per day to work a real job that, we work in the free world. Compare $5 a day in prison to a minimum wage worker that earns $58 a day. And then these companies don't have to pay health insurance costs. They don't have federal or state or local taxes. And so this is driving down the wages for both skilled and unskilled jobs. There are more black men in prison on probation, on parole, than were in slavery in 1850. That's something to really think about. Now, what is going on in these prisons? Well, we've heard stories of rape. Our men are being raped in the prisons. One account, there's a guy by the name of Kendall Spruce, which was an inmate sentenced to 6 years for forging a check which he hoped to buy crack cocaine. He said he was raped by at least 27 different inmates over a 9-month period. He was sent into protective custody. He was put in a cell with a rapist who had full-blown AIDS, and within 2 days he was forced by this man to give oral sex and anally raped. Spruce died 3 years later with full-blown AIDS in 2002. Not to mention, we have slavery going on. We have slavery. This is the new form of slavery that's occurring in our country, in the prison system. The statistics, and you can look up different things about the food, how unhealthy it is, and on and on and on. It's just not a good place to be. It is a cash cow, and we need to wake up and become more aware as to what is really going on in our society. It's not by chance, or it's not, just an accident that so many of our sons and so many of our men are winding up behind bars, incarcerated for small crimes, for crimes that the same crime that a white person can commit, a black person commits and get much more time. They're getting paid to house people in prison. It's a big, big business. So now what do we need to do about this? How can we get the word out to make our children and our men understand that this system is not for them. It's not on their side. We need to wake up. We need to start building our communities. We need to start pouring more into our communities and our youth so that we can put a stop to this mass incarceration, so that they won't be getting out there making simple little mistakes that will land them in prison. Then we have to consider what happens to these prisoners once they're released. A lot of them, most of them, well, felons can't vote. They have a hard time finding a place to live. They have a hard time receiving any type of assistance. So they're pretty much left with no help. And 9 times out of 10, they will wind up repeating the same behavior that got them into prison in the first place. I just want to say we need to wake up as a people, and we need to understand the devices of the enemy. We need to understand what's really at work here, and it's not in our favor. But the Bible says that the people perish because of a lack of knowledge. So if we can help spread the knowledge, we can help save our people. Thank you.